Good morning. My name is Daniel Ramirez, and today we'll be talking about a very influential member in the Chicano community who is Luis Valdez. We may know him as directing movies such as La Bamba and Zoot, but today we'll be mostly discussing his work with El Teatro Campesino and how they influenced the Chicano movement positively and still continue to influence young Chicanos today. Luis Valdez is best described as a Chicano playwright, writer, and film director. He is most notably known in the Chicano community as being the founder of El Teatro Campesino. In 1965, Luis Valdez went to Delano and with the approval of Cesar Chavez was able to start the theater group El Teatro Campesino for the farm workers. When Luis Valdez first went to Delano, it was, of course, in efforts for the grape strikes that were going on at the time. The Teatro started out as a means just for entertainment for the farm workers, as there's obviously no money to be made during the grape strike. The theater provided a medium for the farm workers to express their feelings towards the strike and the social justices that they faced on a daily basis. Before this, there was no other way except through picketing and striking. But with the Teatro, they were able to express a lot more of their feelings, and in a way, it was kind of therapeutic for them, which is very something we don't usually think about, but I feel it was very influential and helped the grape strike overall. At the time, the Teatro's main focus was economic equalization and a means for Mexican Americans to establish their own identity and not just the false hopes and dreams of the common U.S. citizen, which they obviously weren't. As the Teatro gains popularity, they begin to expand their agenda to combat other social justices and went beyond the field, such as education, the Vietnam War, and racism. Little after a year that the Teatro was started, they've gained so much popularity that they were able to start touring at different venues in efforts to collect funds for the workers on strike back in Delano. This is a very important fact since the Teatro had already provided a venue for the workers to express their feelings and have their ideas heard, but now it could also help them financially and provide funds during the grape strikes. After the grape strikes, Luis Valdez moves on to address other urban social issues that are affecting the Chicano youth at the time and are formulating what we now know as the Chicano movement. This can be most notably seen in his production of Zoot, where he stands up against social injustices that are affecting our urban Chicano youth. Zoot was based on the infamous Zoot riots in 1943 during World War II that erupted in Los Angeles, California. This was between the Navy sailors and submarines that were stationed around Los Angeles or San Diego. They targeted mostly the Chicano youth who were recognizable at the time by the zoot suits that they wear, which was a long, baggy suit that used a lot of cloth, which cloth was, at the time, very scarce. So, even more reason for these servicemen to seek them out and basically beat them in the streets just because of what they were wearing or how they looked. They targeted anyone that looked Mexican or Latino. A lot of African Americans, Filipino Americans were also targeted at the time. Zoot the play was able to express all of the feelings and emotions that a lot of the Chicano youth were feeling but unable to express. This production put it all out there and made it hard for people not to understand their situation and what they were going through. The play did so well that Luis Valdez went on to direct the feature film, which did also well. In my opinion, I feel that Zoot, out of all of Luis Valdez's contributions, has been the most influential to the Chicano youth. I'm sure most of everyone knew or were one of those high schoolers, middle schoolers, going to prom or to dances, or even I remember in my graduation, I saw one of my fellow peers wearing a zoot suit to that, and I feel like not a lot of them knew the history and the meaning behind the zoot suit, apart from its stylish fashion that most people, most Chicanos like. At back in the day when it was mostly used, it was a little known fact that it was kind of a stance against the war and against just against Chicanos and Mexican Americans feeling left out. They feel there is a lot of issues going down in their hometowns, and why should they go off overseas to fight a war when they have to fight a war in their same hometowns? So obviously textiles and cloth and clothing were scarce during the World War II. So by wearing a baggy suit that used a lot of this material, it was kind of a, stance up against the war and stance up against being forgotten, being mistreated. So I feel that the play and the film Zoot Suit represented all of this well. And I mean, when I first saw it, I didn't know the meaning behind a zoot suit. I thought it was just a stylish thing that, fellow Chicanos like to wear. But once I saw that, I understood the background and history behind this suit that meant so much more than just a fashion. Zoot the play did not come out till the latter part of the Chicano movement that was occurring in the 60s. But I feel it still maybe helped the movement continue at a time where it could be seen as dying down, which was in the late 70s. So I feel that it helped continue the sentiment that there's still more work to be done, and we still need to remember what the Chicanos before us had to go through and had to deal with. It's important for our history. It's important for us to this day to continue. And I feel that Luis Valdez knows this. That's why he is he's known for allowing his play Zoot to be used in various local high schools and colleges. I mean, in fact, it was used here at Pomona College, which was a pretty amazing thing. There's more to that than just a simple act of generosity. These youths and even other people, like at our college, other peers, people that have never even heard of the Zoot riots, learn the things that were going on and the social injustices. So it feels very important. I mean, it gives a lot more meaning to kids these days when they wear a zoot to prom than just being fashionable. And what better way than to actually have the play at your school, being taught by, someone approved. Luis Valdez has approved. I feel that he does this most notably to be able to give a more accurate account of history, and not just what they teach us in schools, because in a lot of schools, the history or the teaching of multicultural history is lacking. I know personally in my high school, I never really studied the Chicano movement, the Zoot riots, any of that. So Luis Valdez has provided some material there, not in textbook form, but in a media form, in a plays, and it is also important because as Luis Valdez has been quoted to say that theater is the creator of community, and community is the creator of theater. It's very important for a community to be built. That's how we become stronger in numbers. We learn from each other, and we get a sense of pride. But Luis Valdez uniquely was able to do this through theater, which is amazing, and I feel that his play still continues to do that to this day. People that have watched Zoot give a whole nother meaning when they wear the suit or when they see other people wearing the suit. So I feel that the theater continues to be an artistic tool for Chicanos in their quest for social justice. This is how Luis Valdez and the Teatro Campesino has been able to influence the Chicano movement, the grape strikes, and continue to influence, as we see from our current youth doing the plays in their high schools and learning this stuff that was relevant in the 40s and the 60s and the 70s. It's still relevant today, and that's very important, vital learning that only can be done this artistically through theater that Luis Valdez and the Teatro Campesino has provided for us. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you learned something about Luis Valdez and El Teatro Campesino and their impact on the Chicanos and Mexican Americans in the U.S. and most notably in Los Angeles. But more importantly, I hope this encourages you guys to go out and seek your own histories and your own backgrounds, and through other forms of media, such as the material that Luis Valdez and Teatro Campesino has provided for us. Thank you.